The trade station on the edge of known space was not quiet, but Ray had found a corner where no one usually came. He worked as a technician, fixing small machines and systems others forgot about. He didn't like crowds. He didn't talk much. He just did his job, got his credits, and stayed out of trouble. That day, everything changed. Ray was repairing a broken supply scanner near the docking bay when he heard soft footsteps behind him. It wasn't unusual. This area had crew members moving through all the time. But when he turned, he saw something strange. A girl was standing there, not human. Her skin was a soft blue color with faint purple markings across her cheeks. She had sharp, bright eyes, long white hair tied back loosely, and small ears that looked slightly pointed. She wore a long coat, and her hands were folded together. She wasn't holding any weapon, but her stare was intense. Ray blinked. "Can I help you?" he asked, trying to sound polite. The girl stepped closer. Then she froze, her eyes wide. Her nostrils flared slightly as if she was smelling the air. "It's you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I know this scent. I never forgot it." Ray frowned. "Sorry, do I know you?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stared at him as if looking deep into a memory. Her hands slowly reached up to her face, almost as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Many years ago," she said softly, "there was fire, panic, people screaming. I was a child, trapped under metal. I couldn't move. And then someone lifted the beams, warm hands, a voice that told me, 'You'll be all right.'" Ray's breath caught in his throat. That memory, he hadn't thought about it in years. There was a time, nearly a decade ago, when he was sent on a short rescue mission to a colony hit by a sudden groundquake. The place was falling apart. He had helped evacuate people. One moment in that chaos, he remembered pulling out a young alien girl from wreckage. She was bleeding, afraid, and cold. He didn't know her name. He just made sure she got on the evac ship, but that was long ago. He had forgotten her face. Could this be her? "I think you're confusing me with someone else," Ray said carefully. "I've helped a lot of people." "No," she said with certainty. "It was you. I remember your voice, but most of all I remember your scent. Your kind doesn't realize, but we remember scent more than faces. You were kind. You were brave." Ray didn't know what to say. He looked around. A few others were passing by, not paying attention. Still, something about this situation made him nervous. "Listen," he said, standing up slowly. "Why? Don't we talk somewhere else?" "This place isn't great for memories." The girl nodded. "My name is Lacera. May I walk with you?" He hesitated, then gave a small nod. "All right." They walked through the curved corridors of the station, passing vending machines, sleeping docks, and mechanical arms moving cargo crates. Ray led her to a small maintenance room he often used to rest. It wasn't fancy, but it had chairs and a privacy lock. Once inside, he turned to her. "So, what happened after the rescue?" "I was taken in by a diplomatic family," she replied. "They raised me. I studied many cultures, but I always wondered, who saved me that day?" "I asked, but no one knew your name." "Then I came here, just for a diplomatic visit, and then I smelled you." Ray raised an eyebrow. "That still sounds strange to me." She smiled softly. "To my people, scent is everything. It carries emotion, history, connection. Yours smelled like metal and earth and something warm, like safety. I remember crying when you held me." Ray looked down. "I didn't know you remembered." "I didn't even know you were alive. I never forgot," she said. "And now I must ask you something." He looked up. "Are you in danger?" She asked seriously. "Because if I found you by scent, others could too." Ray's heart skipped. He hadn't thought about that. Ray sat back in his chair, trying to calm his racing heart. The small room felt tight, but Lissara's presence was heavier than the walls. "Danger?" Ray finally said. "What kind of danger?" Lissara's eyes darkened. "Not all enemies died in that disaster? The group that caused the quake? They want me back." Ray's brow furrowed. "Who would want you, and why?" "They did terrible things, experiments with life, with power. They destroyed my home planet's colony, trying to hide their crimes." I escaped, but they never stopped looking for me. Ray shook his head in disbelief. I thought those people were gone. Why now? Because I remember everything, Lysera said. I have proof hidden away, Data. They don't want the galaxy to see. Ray felt a chill run down his spine. And they think you have it on you? Not on me, but it's linked to me, she said. And now finding you means they are closer. Ray was quiet. For a moment, he thought back to his simple life fixing. Machines avoiding trouble. Now, trouble found him. Why tell me all this? He asked. Lysera's gaze softened. Because you saved me once. You saved a child who had no hope. Now, you might save me again. Ray looked away, blinking hard. I'm just a technician. What can I do? More than you know, she said with a small smile. I trust you. And together, maybe we can stop them. The next hours passed quickly. Lysera told Ray about the colony, her family, and the shadowy faction called the Veridons. They were a secret group who wanted to control the galaxy's rarest resources through fear and science. The quake was no accident. It was their way to silence witnesses. Ray listened carefully, amazed how much he didn't know. I kept hoping you were safe, he said quietly. You saved me, Lysera said. Not just from death, but from a future controlled by darkness. Ray felt a deep respect for the girl who had grown strong despite everything. Suddenly, an alarm sounded through the station. Ray's eyes widened. What's that? Lysera's expression hardened. Security. They've been watching. I don't think they like me talking to you. Without wasting a second, Ray stood and grabbed his tools. We should move. They hurried through the twisting halls. Ray's mind raced. How had this simple meeting turned into a chase? Outside, the trade station was crowded, filled with aliens of every kind. The loud hum of ships landing mixed with voices and footsteps. Lysera pulled Ray into a narrow passage. Do you know anyone here you can trust? She asked. Ray shook his head. No, but I have an old friend in the cargo bay, Jox. He owes me a favor. Then let's find him, Lysera said. They moved quickly but quietly. Ray was impressed how Lysera blended in, even with her strange appearance. At the cargo bay, they found Jox, a tall man with a rough face and kind eyes. You're late, Jox said with a smirk. Who's the blue one? Ray smiled weakly. This is Lysera. I need your help. Jox nodded without hesitation. I'm in. With Jox's help, they slipped into an unused storage ship. The engine hummed to life. Where now? Ray asked. To a safe place, Lysera said. There's an old data vault near the outer rim. It holds records from the colony records that prove what the Veridons did. Ray felt hope. They all knew it wouldn't be easy. The Veridons had spies everywhere. But for the first time in a long time, Ray felt like he was part of something bigger. During the flight, Lysera grew quiet. Ray noticed. Are you okay? He asked. She nodded slowly. I'm remembering more. Things I tried to forget. Ray leaned forward. Tell me. She took a deep breath. After you saved me, I was taken far away. Raised by diplomats, but I never felt safe. I learned to hide parts of myself, including the truth of what I knew. Ray listened carefully. I'm glad you found me, she added. Because now I don't have to be alone, Ray smiled. You're not alone anymore. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. Incoming ship, Jock said, eyes narrowing. Looks like trouble. Ray's heart beat faster. The Veridons? Probably. Lysera said, They never give up. Jox pushed a button, and the ship's lights dimmed. Time to hide? He said. The cargo ship slipped into an asteroid field nearby. Weaving through rocks and shadows, Ray watched the view screen. The enemy ship scanned, then moved away, missing them by seconds. That was close. Ray said, wiping sweat from his brow. Lysera looked out the window. They won't stop. But we won't stop either. The flight continued in tense silence. Ray felt the weight of the moment. He was no longer just a simple technician. He was a protector, a friend, someone who might change the fate of many. Lysera turned to him. Thank you, Ray, for saving me once and for standing by me now. Ray looked at her and nodded. Let's finish this, together. The cargo ship drifted silently through the asteroid field, hiding in the shadows cast by giant rocks. Ray's hands gripped the controls tightly as Jox piloted them through narrow spaces. Outside, the vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, but inside the small ship, tension filled every corner. "We can't keep running forever," Ray sighed, breaking the silence. Lucera nodded, her eyes fixed on the dark window. "No, we need to reach the data vault." "That's our only chance?" Jox glanced back from the pilot's seat. "This vault has been abandoned for years. Nobody's checked it since the colony fell. If the Veridons didn't find it yet, they never will unless we lead them there." Ray's heart pounded. "We have to be careful. One wrong move and it's over." The ship moved deeper into the outer rim where few ships traveled. The stars were dimmer here, and the radio chatter was almost silent. Ray felt the weight of the mission settle on him. He wasn't just a simple technician anymore. He was part of something much bigger. "Tell me more about the data vault," Ray asked Lucera. She leaned forward, voice low. "The vault holds all the records from my home colony. Logs, videos, and files about what happened during the disaster. The Veridons erase the most evidence, but some was hidden," Ray frowned. "Why would they hide anything? Wouldn't they want everything destroyed? Because some in their group wanted to keep proof? To use it later as a weapon or a threat? They hide secrets even from each other." Ray shook his head. "People can be strange." Lucera smiled faintly. "Yes, but some people are good, like you." The trip was long and silent after that. Ray and Lucera talked less, each lost in thought. Jox focused on the ship's path, eyes sharp. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. "Incoming transmission." Jox shouted. Ray quickly tapped the screen. The image of a stern alien commander appeared. Her skin was dark green, with silver tattoos glowing softly on her face. "This is Commander Vera of the Veridon fleet," the woman said coldly. "You are trespassing in restricted space. Surrender Lucera immediately, and your lives will be spared." Lucera stood tall. "I will never go back to you," Vera smiled cruelly. "You forget, little one. You are just a piece in a much larger game. Surrender now or be destroyed." The screen went dark. Ray clenched his fists. "We can't run forever. They're getting closer." Jox grunted. "I have an idea. There's an old space station nearby. It's mostly abandoned, but it still has power and defense systems." Lucera looked at Ray. "Could we use it for cover?" "It might work," Ray said. "Better than floating out here waiting to be found." Jox quickly changed course toward the station. The space station looked huge against the dark stars. Its surface was scratched and dented from years in orbit, but lights flickered along its sides. Ray felt a chill. It was both a shelter and a trap. They entered the station slowly. The air inside was stale. Silence echoed through empty halls. Dust floated in the beams of their flashlights. Ray's footsteps echoed as he led the way. "We need to find the control room," Jox said. "If we can reactivate the defenses, maybe we can hold the station." Lucera touched the cold walls. "This place feels familiar. My family once came here on diplomatic visits. It's strange to see it empty," Ray nodded. "Let's move quickly." They found the control room after searching through dark corridors. The computers were old, but still intact. Jox and Ray worked fast, powering up the systems. Suddenly, the station's defense turrets came online with a loud hum. "We're not helpless," Jox said with a grin. Lucera smiled for the first time in hours. "This will help us." Ray felt hope rising. Hours passed as they prepared the station for defense. Ray learned more about Lucera's past. "My family tried to protect me from the Veridons," she said quietly. "But they couldn't stop everything." Ray listened carefully. "You are stronger than you think." Lucera looked at him. "I had to be, but now I am not alone." Ray smiled. "You have me." Suddenly, the station's alarms blared again. "Ships detected," Jox said urgently. "Multiple enemy vessels are approaching." Ray took a deep breath. "Get ready." They prepared to defend the station. The Veridons were coming to end this once and for all. Outside, the black shapes of enemy ships filled the dark space around the station. Energy weapons charged and beams flashed. Inside, Ray, Lucera, and Jox worked together, controlling the defenses. Turrets fired, blasting enemy ships. Explosions rocked the station. Ray felt the rush of battle fear, adrenaline, and determination. "Keep firing," Lucera shouted. "We can't let them win." The battle was fierce and long, but the station's defenses held strong. After what felt like hours, the enemy ships retreated, damaged and defeated. Ray let out a long breath. "We did it." Lucera smiled, tired but victorious. "Thanks to you." Jocks patted Ray's shoulder. "You're better than a technician now, friend." Ray looked at Lucera. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" She nodded. "Yes, but we have hope." After the Veridon ships had retreated, the space station fell into a quiet silence. Outside, stars blinked calmly, but inside, Ray, Lucera, and Jocks knew this calm was only temporary. The fight was not over. Ray wiped sweat from his brow. "We can't stay here long. They'll come back, and maybe with more ships." Lucera nodded, her expression serious. "We need to find the data vault. If we have proof of what the Veridons did, we can expose them to the galaxy." Jocks leaned against the control panel. "The vault should be nearby. Old colonial records say it's hidden under a ruined moon. Nobody has gone there for years." Ray looked at the navigation screen. "Then that's our next stop." The small ship slipped away from the station and headed toward the ruined moon. It was gray and cratered, silent and lifeless. Lucera stared at it. "This place holds memories, both good and bad." Ray asked quietly, "What kind of memories?" She looked down. "When I was young, before the disaster, my family came here sometimes. It was peaceful back then. Now only ghosts remain." Jocks laughed softly. "Looks like a ghost town now." The ship landed on the rough surface, dust rising as the engines powered down. The three of them stepped out, their boots crunching on loose rocks. Ray felt the cold air and the silence. No wind, no birds. Just the emptiness of a dead world. Lucera pointed ahead. "The vault entrance is through that cave." They approached a dark opening, partly hidden by fallen stones. The walls were cracked and old. Ray switched on his flashlight. "Let's get what we came for and get out." Inside the cave, the air was damp and cool. Water dripped from the ceiling, and shadows danced on the walls. They moved carefully through narrow tunnels. Lucera's footsteps were light, almost like she remembered every stone. After a while, they reached a large door made of heavy metal. It was old, but the control panel next to it still glowed faintly. Jocks examined it. "Looks like a security lock. But it's ancient tech, should be easy to bypass." He worked quickly, and with a soft click, the door slid open. Inside was a room filled with old machines, blinking lights, and stacks of data drives. Lucera's eyes shone. "This is it." They began searching through the files, looking for the colony records. Ray scanned documents and videos. Most were damaged, but some files were clear. One video showed the colony before the Quake people working happily. Children playing and lush gardens. Then the scene changed. Explosions rocked the ground. Buildings cracked and fell. People ran in fear. Ray felt a lump in his throat. Lucera found what she was looking for, a hidden file labeled Veridon Experiments. She opened it, and images of strange machines and unhappy people filled the screen. Ray gasped. "What is this?" "These are their secrets," Lucera said. "They tried to control life itself, changing DNA, creating weapons from living beings." Ray shook his head. "That's terrible," Lucera nodded. "And they tried to erase all proof, but now we have it." Suddenly the cave trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jocks grabbed his gun. "We're not alone." Footsteps echoed in the tunnels behind them. "Veridons," Lucera whispered. Ray's heart pounded. "We have to move. Take the files and go." They grabbed the data drives and rushed toward the cave entrance. As they ran, the passage shook harder. Rocks fell, blocking their way. Ray pushed stones aside, leading the way. Outside, the Veridon soldiers waited, blocking the path. "Stop right there!" A voice shouted. Ray and the others raised their hands. "We don't want to fight. Just let us leave." But the soldiers did not move. Lucera stepped forward. "You don't want to do this." "We have proof that will expose you," the commander sneered. "You think anyone will believe a human and an alien who ran away?" Ray looked around. "There were too many enemies," he whispered to Lucera. "We need a plan." Lucera nodded. Follow me. They darted to the side, dodging blaster fire. Ray fired his own gun, careful to avoid serious harm but slow the enemies. Jocks covered their backs. Pushing forward through the rocky terrain, the fight was intense, but they made it back to their ship. They quickly boarded, engines roaring to life. As the ship lifted off, Ray looked back. Lysera sighed. We escaped, but they will keep chasing us. Jock set a course for a hidden base where Elias waited. Ray nodded. We need to stay strong. The galaxy needs to know the truth. During the flight, Lysera thanked Ray. You saved me once. Now you save more than just me, Ray smiled. I'm glad I was there, and I'm not giving up. Outside the window, stars shone bright. The fight was far from over, but hope was alive. The hidden base was quiet and safe, or at least as safe as a place could be when the Veridons were hunting them. The walls were made of cold metal, with blinking lights that showed activity in every corner. It was a small outpost far from the busy trade routes, known only to a few trusted allies. Ray, Lysera, and Jock stepped inside, exhausted but relieved. We made it, Jock said, wiping dirt from his face. For now. Lysera looked around. This place feels like a refuge, Ray nodded. We can rest, and then plan our next move. Inside a small room, Lysera connected the data drives to a secure terminal. Screens lit up with files, videos, and secret messages. Allies gathered around to watch. One of them, a sharp-eyed alien named Marek, said, This evidence is strong. If we can broadcast it to the Galactic Council, no one will doubt what the Veridons have done. Lysera smiled faintly. That's the plan. We need the whole galaxy to see the truth. Ray felt proud. He was part of something important. But their rest was short. Suddenly alarms blared through the base. Enemy ships approaching. A guard shouted. Ray grabbed his weapon. Lysera stood tall. Jocks moved to the defense controls. The Veridons were coming again, stronger and faster. This time, the base shook as explosions hit the outer walls. Guards fired back, but the Veridons had bigger ships and better weapons. Ray and Lysera worked together, coordinating the defense. Use the turrets. Lysera ordered. Hold them off. The battle was fierce. Beams of energy lit up the dark sky outside. Inside, the air was filled with the sounds of warning sirens and shouted orders. Ray felt the heat of battle but stayed focused. He could not let them fail. After long minutes, the Veridons retreated once more. The base was damaged, but still standing. Ray looked at Lysera. This won't stop. They want to erase all proof. She nodded. Then we must move faster. Marek approached with a new plan. There is a council meeting soon, far from here. If we get the data to them, we can force action. Lysera smiled. That's where we go next. The group prepared for the trip. Ray packed what he could carry. Lysera studied the data carefully. Are you ready? Jocks asked. Ray looked at Lysera. As ready as I'll ever be. They boarded a small, fast ship designed for quick travel during the flight. Lysera told Ray more about the Veridons' plans. They want to control the galaxy through fear and power, she said. They experiment with life, trying to make weapons that no one can stop. Ray shook his head. People who do terrible things like that, they always think they will win. Until someone stands against them, Lysera said, smiling. Ray smiled back. Then we stand. The trip was tense. Every moment they feared an attack. Finally, they reached the council planet, a shining world filled with tall buildings and bustling streets. This place is different, Ray said. Full of hope. Lysera nodded. It's where decisions are made, where truth can change the galaxy. They entered the council building, security scanners beeping as they passed. In a large chamber, representatives from many species sat in seats. The air was filled with whispers and curiosity as Ray and Lysera approached. Lysera stepped forward. Honored council members, we bring proof of crimes against a colony and a people. The Veridons destroyed homes, experimented on life, and tried to hide the truth. She showed the data files and videos. The room fell silent. Ray watched as the council members studied the evidence, faces serious. One elder spoke. These are grave accusations. If true, the Veridons must be held responsible. Another added, "We must protect the galaxy from such danger." Lysera looked at Ray. "This is what we fought for." Ray smiled softly. "We still have a long road ahead, but this is a start." After the meeting, the council agreed to send investigators and to support Lysera and her allies. Ray felt hope for the first time in a long while. Lysera took his hand. "You saved me when I was a child, now you help save many." Ray squeezed her hand. "We do it together." Outside, the sun set over the city, painting the sky with colors of promise. The fight was far from over, but with truth on their side. Ray and Lysera knew they could face whatever came next. Together, the council's decision was a victory. But Ray knew it was only the beginning. The Veridons were powerful and dangerous. They would not give up easily. Back at the small safe house, Ray, Lysera, and Jocks prepared for the next steps. They had to stay one step ahead of their enemies. Lysera looked tired but determined. "The council will send investigators, but we need to find more proof, something that cannot be ignored." Ray nodded. "More proof means more risk, but I'm ready." Jocks checked his weapons and equipment. "The Veridons won't stop hunting us. We need allies." They reached out to trusted friends and small rebel groups scattered across nearby systems. Many had suffered because of the Veridons. Some joined quickly. Others were cautious. Ray felt the weight of leadership pressing on him. He had never wanted this life, but now he was responsible for more than just himself. One night, as the team planned their next move, Lysera sat beside Ray. "Do you ever regret it? Saving me all those years ago?" she asked quietly, Ray thought. For a moment, no, that moment changed everything. "I never thought it would lead here, but I believe it was meant to be." Lysera smiled softly. "I'm glad you were there." The group decided to travel to a hidden research station on a distant moon. It was said to hold data that could expose the Veridons' deepest secrets. The journey was long and dangerous. They avoided major space routes and used old smuggler paths to stay hidden during the trip. Ray learned more about Lysera's culture and her people's strength. "My people believe in honor and trust," Lysera said. "Even when darkness comes, we hold on to hope." Ray admired her courage. "That hope is why we fight." When they reached the research station, it was surrounded by dense ice and harsh storms. The station looked abandoned but still had power. The entrance was blocked by ice and old security systems. Ray and Jocks worked together to clear the path. Lysera kept watch, alert for any signs of enemies. Inside, the station was cold and silent. The air smelled of metal and old machines. They moved carefully through corridors lined with broken equipment and frozen windows. In the main lab, they found rows of databanks. Lysera connected her device, and the screens flickered to life. Files began downloading. Ray watched the progress bar, hoping the data would hold the proof they needed. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the screen. "Security breach detected." Jux. "Cursed, we've been spotted." Outside, Veridon ships appeared, breaking through the storm. Ray looked at Lysera. "We have to move fast." They grabbed the data drives and prepared to leave. The storms outside were fierce, making their escape dangerous. Jocks piloted the ship through icy winds and snow. Dodging enemy fire, Ray fired back when ships came too close. Lysera used her knowledge to help guide them through the storm. Finally, they broke free from the storm and enemy ships. Inside the ship, the team caught their breath. Ray looked at the data drives. "This is what we need." Lysera nodded. "Proof that will stop the Veridons." Jocks smiled tiredly. "Let's get this to the council." The return trip was filled with hope and planning. Ray and Lysera grew closer. Their bond was no longer just about past memories, it was about fighting side by side for a better future. One evening, as stars twinkled outside the ship, Lysera turned to Ray. "Thank you for believing in me." Ray smiled. "I believe in us." They arrived at the council again, this time with stronger proof. The council members listened carefully as Lysera presented the new data. The evidence was clear. Veridon crimes were undeniable. The council agreed to take action. Ray felt proud of their success, but he knew the fight would continue. As the story moved toward its end, Ray and Lysera stood together, ready for whatever challenges came next. Their bond, forged by memory, scent, and trust, was stronger than ever. Together, They would face the future. The galaxy seemed quieter that day, but Ray knew it was only a pause. The Veridons had been exposed, their secrets shown to the Council and the wider universe. But power like theirs did not fade quickly. Ray and Lysera stood together on the observation deck of the Council ship, watching stars drift by. "It's strange," Lysera said softly. "After all this time, I never thought I'd find you again. And now, here we are." Ray smiled, thinking of the long journey from that disaster years ago to this moment. "I never forgot you either. Your scent was always with me, even when I didn't know why." Lysera turned to face him, eyes bright. "You saved my life. But you also gave me hope that someone cared, even across worlds." Ray took her hand gently. "And you showed me there's more to life than just survival." Their bond had grown beyond memory and rescue. It was trust, friendship, and something deeper. "Do you think this is the end?" Ray asked. Lysera shook her head. "No, the Veridons may be weakened, but others will rise." "We must stay ready," Ray nodded. "Then we fight, not just for us, but for everyone who cannot." Their hands squeezed. The Council called them soon after for an important meeting. The chamber was filled with leaders from many species. The evidence brought by Lysera and Ray had changed opinions. The Veridons' crimes were condemned, and actions were planned. Ray watched as the Council voted to send peacekeepers and protect vulnerable colonies. "It feels good to see justice," Lysera said quietly. Ray smiled. "Justice is only the start. We must build a future." After the meeting, Lysera and Ray were invited to speak with diplomats and friends who wanted to help. They shared stories of survival, courage, and the strength to stand against darkness. Ray realized how far he had come from a simple technician to a key figure in a galactic fight. He looked at Lysera, proud and hopeful. Days later, in the quiet of the ship's corridor, Lysera stopped Ray. "There's something I want to say," she whispered. Ray looked at her, curious. "I was afraid when I first found you, afraid I was alone. But now I want to walk with you, not just as friends or allies, but more." Ray's heart raced. He smiled softly. "I've been waiting for you to say that." Together, they looked out at the stars, knowing their journey was just beginning. The galaxy was vast and full of unknowns, but with trust and courage, they would face it side by side. Their bond, made by fate, memory, and choice, was strong. The story of Ray and Lysera was one of hope and strength, of how a human saved an alien girl, and years later they saved each other and the galaxy.